Hey, Dad.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to MidBeach Neighborhood Association, or MBNA's monthly meeting on Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. I'm Ana Marie Ferreira de Melo, the president of MBNA, and I welcome you all here today. During today's meeting, as you might have seen a moment ago that was up on the screen, we are going to call the meeting to order, go over our treasurer report, nominate a new executive board member, and then go into our candidate forum for Group 1 and Group 3 City Commission seats. To begin, I'd like to call this meeting to order and do a quick roll call of our executive board. Alicia Casanova, ex officio member, are you present?
I'm present.
Thank you, Alicia. Esteban Porcelli?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Robert Rubinowitz?
Present.
Thank you. Melinda Pierce?
Present.
Thank you. Deborah Lake? Melinda Redlick?
Michelle?
Michelle Redlick? I saw Michelle earlier.
I'm here, present,
Okay.
present.
Thank you. Okay. And welcome to all of the board members. We are going to move on. Melinda, would you like to share with us the treasurer report?
Yes, the treasury report for September 1st is as follows. Our current balance in the Iberia bank account is $5,953. The Iberia bank balance as of our last meeting, which was August 4th, is $5,955. Our bank balance as of today is $5,955. Total deposits since our last meeting, 0. Checks written, 0. Our bank credit cards, which includes Google services, was $13. Our membership to date is 60 members. We have 42 condominiums and 18 hotels. I'd like to make a note that Iberia Bank will now become First Horizon Bank, and we will start banking with them sometime this month or maybe by October 1st. And that's the treasurer's report for September 1st meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. Are there any questions? Melinda, do us a quick favor. Remind us again, how many members, active members do we have right now in MBNA?
60.
60, great. And how many properties do we have between 24th and 63rd along Indian Creek Drive and Collins Avenue, which is the boundaries of MBNA? It's about 106, no?
Yeah, about 106.
Okay,
So
great.
we have about 60% membership.
Great, so we have 60% active members. And as we see them join today, I think that that includes both the hotels and condominiums. Any questions from anyone? If you're not a member and you have a question, you're also welcome to speak, not only the executive board. Hello, Raquel, welcome.
That everybody, you open your chat group if you have to chat, and make sure you identify yourselves, please, with the name of your condo or hotel. You can rename yourselves so that we are able to see and make sure that we know that everybody that is on should be on. You can do that, we'd appreciate it.
So as Ileana, did you have a question? I'm going to ask you to unmute. Ileana Martinez, I see your hand up. Let me know if you have a question.
No, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Hi, it was just a hand up. Hi. Okay, so as per our bylaws, we have an opening on the executive board. It's a condominium opening. So based on the proportion of hotels and condominiums we have in our area, we have 2 seats that are hotel seats. Right now, the Fountain Blue sits on our executive board, and the other hotel seat is vacant. On the condominium side, we have 7 seats, and right now 6 are occupied and 1 is vacant. So outside of our annual elections that occur in April, so if any of you are thinking that you'd like to run, please consider nominating yourselves for April and during our April annual elections. We have 1 seat that is open. And so based on the nominations that we've received this year, the executive board, is there a motion to nominate Justin Jacobs from the Caribbean Condominium?
I make the motion.
I second.
Is there a, thank you, in a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
Welcome, Justin.
Very
And
much.
Wave your hand wherever you are so they can see who you are over there.
Here, that motion passes.
Little boxes.
Justin,
Welcome on board.
Justin, would you like to say a few words?
Sure, I'll just do a brief introduction. My name is Justin Jacobs. I'm a resident at the Caribbean condo at 37th and Collins. I've had an apartment here for about 10 years now. I was actually recently married here. My wife and I were married at the Caribbean overlooking the beach, so I can assure everyone that the building and the surrounding community are both meaningful and very important to us. So I appreciate everyone's support and look forward to serving the community here.
Thank you. We're excited.
Thank you.
2 lifetime milestones to celebrate this, and that's not Justin joining MBNA's executive board and getting married.
I'll be sure to celebrate both anniversaries.
Exactly. So welcome. We're going to go ahead and begin our candidate forum. And before we do, I just want to go over a quick housekeeping and address one of our residents' concerns that were mentioned just before the start of this meeting. And so there are we received many questions and lots of feedback about today's candidate forum, and we really welcome all of your feedback. I think originally we were thinking we were going to ask 1 or 2 questions from each of the individual candidates. And then we decided, since both groups are going to be present today, that we were going to provide 2 questions, and each of the groups are going to have an opportunity to answer those 2 questions. The questions that are asked from group 1 will not be the same questions asked to group 3. All of the questions are questions that all of you should just feel that you don't need to prepare, but basically on your platform and how you, your perceptions and your perspectives of MidBeach, you'll be prepared to share with us what your thoughts are and how you would address it if you were our commissioner. Prior to going into those questions that we are going to ask each of you, and we'll go through group 1 and then group 3, for you to introduce yourselves. Share with us why you're running. And not only why you're running, what value do you think, or why would you be the best commissioner for Miami Beach, and also for our neighborhood, specifically for the MidBeach neighborhood. And then at the end of your introduction, at the beginning, or any time during those 2.5 minutes that you'll have to speak, if you could please share with us what you see to be the most pressing issue in the MidBeach neighborhood. We would be very interested to hear. Now, folks asked, what about our questions? What about just the general communities? Depending on time, after those 4 questions that we facilitate, we're going to go through the chat, and we're going to go through the questions and concerns that everyone might have. If we don't get time, the candidates will have an opportunity to respond to all of those questions placed in the chat in a written form, and we'll post those on our website. As we do, we post all of our meeting recordings and notes and even communications with the city or officials on our website. And we're going to do a better job on posting it also through social media, including excerpts from today. And so hopefully all of you can share your thoughts, and we'll be able to get it out to the community. And there was one question on a particular issue that was mentioned just before this meeting started, which had to do with noise along Collins Avenue. And so what I'd like to share, if you have very specific issues, we have working groups that work throughout the month, not just at these meetings. They don't just present what they've been working on, but they do have special meetings. For example, the Collins Avenue Working Group met on the 18th of August to redesign 41st from 63rd. They had a charrette in-person meeting, and many of you attended that. And then prior to that, on August 4th, we had another special meeting with the building department and about the 5333 Collins Avenue project. And so we do have meetings and working groups in beach and water quality, Collins Avenue, Indian Creek, beach walk and public space, the park, etc. So please feel free to get involved, email us, ask us questions. But if you want your commission candidates to answer those questions, you can do so in the chat. Okay, any Representative Grieco, I saw your hand go up. Did you have a question, or did anybody else have a question?
I'm always live.
No, I'm good.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay. And I see everyone is joining. Welcome, everyone. Great, Fabian. Great to see you too. And we're going to go ahead and begin with group 1. Let's go ahead and change. And so, Fabian, I see that you joined us. If you, Fabian Basabe, and please correct me if I've mispronounced anyone's name, feel free to correct me. If you'd like to give us your introduction, why you'd like to be our commissioner, why you'd be our best commissioner, what anything particular for Mid-Beach community that they should know, and what do you see as our most pressing issue? Your 2.5 minutes. Are you there? Go ahead and unmute.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
We can hear you now.
Better?
If we put him on speaker, everybody can see him better if you change your viewing to speaker.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fabian Basabi. I've been living in Miami Beach for about half my life. Mid-Beach is really important to me because my parents live in Bay Harbor and I'm in South Beach. So I've got to kind of sit in that 1 hour of traffic sometimes and get to them. A little bit about me. Besides managing some personal assets, I'm a full-time dad. And I'm running because I'd like to donate my time and my resources to what I believe should be a great community service. And I've been getting to know a lot of the issues lately, particularly in Mid-Beach. I think the top 3 or 4 would be crime, drainage issues, traffic, and environmental issues. I think this pretty much covers all of the beach, by the way. And at the end of the day, I think what we're all aiming for is just a better quality of life. A lot of issues need to be addressed with infrastructure that takes time and creates obstacles and impedes on our quality of life. I know the recent crime activities and congestion and overpopulation of our streets, whether it be by tourism or just mismanaged traffic, due to this heavier traffic flow from tourism. And the type of tourism we've been getting has been really affecting us. I've been speaking to a lot of people that are just really frustrated that we're not finding some balance in how to marry the business interests with the residential interests, the residents' interests, and come up with a plan that's immediate. I'd like to think that I've got some pretty good common sense. And I think in speaking to many residents and business owners, there's definitely at this point there's some room for people to kind of meet somewhere in the middle and come up with a plan, because whatever has been going on and whatever decisions and policies that have been in place have just been a lot of the same. And I don't see that this beautiful city that we inherited has been preserved the way it should. And I don't know that it's moving forward in a direction that many of us would agree with is the right direction for the future of Miami Beach. That I hit.
Thank you so much, Fabian. And you have a few seconds left if you'd like to.
I don't know. Ask me another question.
We'll go ahead and ask you as we go through the groups. Thank you so much, Fabian, for the introduction.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Adrian Gonzalez. If you could introduce yourself. And share with us what you're.
Sure. Good evening, Adrian. Good evening, Adrian. Good evening, everybody. My name is Adrian Gonzalez. I'm the homegrown candidate because, frankly, I've been here for 4 decades. I'm part of the fiber that makes Miami Beach so unique and so amazing. I'm also a Miami Beach, Mid-Beach resident, which is right across in the suburbia that you guys look at in your beautiful view every day. What I bring to the table is a specific, unique vision of how to bring this city forward. I have many perspectives. Number one is I'm a business owner, a 2nd-generation business owner. Second, I'm a father of 2 amazing, beautiful boys. And third, I'm a person that just really is very involved with the community and also with governmental at the end of the day. The city has been getting in a direction that is unbelievable. I never thought from the days of the cocaine cowboys to where we are today, I was ever going to see something like this. We would have gone backward tremendously. The challenges I think you all are facing essentially is the same thing citywide. There is no master plan to bring everything together and do the infrastructure improvements. And they kept putting Band-Aids on the bigger problems instead of making this the problems that, again, we don't address and forget about, or we fix and we have to come back and redo. It's like Groundhog's Day in the city. I'm the person that I know strongly and feel strongly that could bring this city together. I know how to work with everybody that's sitting on the commission currently, including our mayor, and everything from trickle down. at the end of the day, is what, I didn't just move here last week. I've been here for 4 decades. I'm involved in the school system. I'm involved in every facet of it. And I would love to be the person to bring the city forward if you all entrust in me.
Thank you so much, Adrian.
Yeah. Thank you.
Raquel Pacheco, have you had an opportunity to rejoin us?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I was having some camera issues. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for hosting this forum. My name is Raquel Pacheco. I'm a candidate for Miami Beach Commission in Group 1. I've been a resident of Miami Beach for almost 20 years, and I'm a homeowner in the Flamingo Park neighborhood since 2008. I'm the proud mother of a 2nd grader at South Point Elementary. I'm the chair of the city's personnel board. I'm the former president of Miami Beach United. I'm a small business owner of 25 years, and I'm also a veteran of the armed services. I ran for office the first time in 2019 against a powerful incumbent because I was frustrated by the fact that my neighborhood was being commercialized practically overnight, and no one was engaging with me or my neighbors to ask us about what our vision was for our neighborhood. So here we are, we fast forward 2 years, and I'm running again for very much the same reasons. I believe it's critically important that we elect resident-friendly individuals who understand that the decisions that are made at the top literally trickle down into our daily lives and impact our quality of life. And I think what I bring to the table is a very unique experience because at my core, for one, I'm a consensus builder. And secondly, my professional and personal experiences, as far back from my military days to my more recent experience here at the city level, have taught me that it's imperative that we listen to all sides as we look for solutions to the issues that we're facing. So from my experience and my observations, MidBeach has a very specific set and very unique issues. What I consider to be most important at this point is traffic calming and pedestrian and bicycle safety. I know that that's a real concern for you all. And I know that there are other concerns, but these two stand out the most. And I feel that we really need to come together and look for ways to enhance safety and make MidBeach more resident focused and more pedestrian friendly for all. So if you'll give me the opportunity on November 2nd, I just want you to know that I'm completely prepared. I'm totally ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work with you on solving these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Raquel. Kristen Rosen Gonzalez.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kristen Rosen Gonzalez. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was actually born in a condo in the Collins Corridor in Sunny Isles. But even before that, my parents met at the Fontainebleau. So if not for the Collins Corridor, I really wouldn't be here with all of you tonight. I live in a family home on 46th Street in MidBeach, and I've raised my 3 beautiful children, Isabella, Pablo, and Francesca, here in our community. My baby just graduated from Beach High in June, so I'm going to be an empty nester as of tomorrow when my son Pablo returns to college. I'm a PhD and a tenured faculty member at Miami-Dade College, where I've worked for 12 years. I'm a licensed real estate sales associate and have renovated several homes here in Miami Beach. And then there's Cafe Bernie. As of April this year, my partner, both in love and life, Chef Bernie Matz, and I opened a waterfront restaurant called Cafe Bernie, which has been a tremendous success at the stunning 5600 Collins Avenue building. I would like to thank the association president, Susanna Santoro, and her board for believing in us, and we look forward to our first busy season here on Miami Beach. I was elected commissioner of Miami Beach in 2015, and I was a little green, but this is Kristen 2.0. I am wiser, more mature, and more diplomatic. I even have new hair. My years of public service have provided me with the historical and institutional knowledge to hit the ground running as a local government official, and I will be more effective at creating policies, solving some of our serious infrastructure issues we face, environmental, with mobility, sea level rise resiliency, and we must focus on completing hundreds of millions of dollars in pending capital improvements projects across the city. My background of academia, public sector experience, a business owner, and a realtor and property owner, it's a unique bundle of assets when sitting on a dais and making important decisions. The Collins Corridor is a magical neighborhood. These older buildings, these grand dames, they face challenges, recertification challenges. And I know that there are fears that there are going to be reactionary ordinances that could put associations in precarious positions, but I will not let that happen. But that's not our biggest issue. Our biggest immediate issue is that we've lost control of parts of the city. Miami Beach has hit a tipping point in terms of attracting a trashy crowd. We're full of cheap tourists, and there's a lawlessness in the southern part of the city that's creeping north on Collins Avenue, and it's affecting our brand. We have a police force that is outnumbered, exhausted, and demoralized, and I question the ability of some of our current administrators to deal with these challenges. We need to take swift action. I'm done. That's it.
You know,
This is the good part. Where I was going to tell you what I was going to do. Okay, I guess I can save it. All right.
you're gonna get to tell us in the questions to come. I just want to make sure everybody has the same amount of time. Thank you though so much for that, for your introduction. Okay, Blake Young, the last candidate for Group 1. This is Group 1 candidates. Blake Young.
Good evening to all. My name is Blake Young, running for Miami Beach Commissioner, and I'll be on the ballot November 2nd, and I would appreciate your consideration into my campaign. I'm into safety and security. That's the reckless driving and speeding that we see on the Collins corridor here that you guys complain so much about, the noise, the murders, the sexual assault. All those things are going to be a big focus for me, and I'll be a big advocate to eradicate those types of issues on the beach. Number 2 is the environment. Bay and beach water, I'm going to be a big advocate for. The phosphorus and the nitrogen that we're putting into the water through our stormwater system, the chemicals, those things have to be abated. They need to be filtered. We need to take time and invest in that area. We also need to invest in our sewer system. Our sewer system is sadly decrepit, leaking in many areas. We have no swims frequently on the beach, and we can do better, and we will do better. Finally, spending our money responsibly on the beach. There's tons of waste. It seems like every year we zero out our budget to right to the number that we bring in with no room left, no room for paving of the roads, no room for the sidewalks, no room for anything, no room for new police. Keeping in mind that we had 9 that resigned just yesterday. So keep in mind, we need police, we need action, and so we need to be able to spend our money more responsibly. So finally, I wanted to come to the donation-free campaign, which is much different than the rest of the candidates in Group 1. I don't take donations. This was started in 2019. This is a grassroots effort, if there's ever been a grassroots effort. 25,000 doors we've knocked on since 2019. We've also reached out to tens of thousands of people through instant messenger, asking them what they want to do with their city. Not telling them what we're going to do with the city, but asking them what they want to do with their city. We've also collected over 1,000 petition signatures, 1,000 of them which I collected myself. So I'm very well connected with the community. I'm also well connected with the environment and what we're doing in our city. And finally, I also sat at the polls for almost 10 hours over 2020, also connecting with the voters. So you can see I'm not a shy person. For activity and work, I will be doing the same type of activity if I get elected to the commission. But I just wanted to highlight that the donation-free campaign is a place where we all can have say, we all have voice, and I just would appreciate your consideration and time for the candidacy for Miami Beach Commissioner 2021. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Blake. And so that completes our introductions for the Group 1 candidates, which are Fabian Basabe, Adrian Gonzalez, Raquel Pacheco, Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez, and Blake Young. So you have 5 to choose from on the ballot November 2nd, or if you vote early, you have 5 to choose from for Group 1. Any comments, any questions before we go to Group 3 introductions? Okay, moving on to Group 3 introductions. Now we're going to go to our next round of candidates, and this is Mike B. or Michael. Yep, fair enough.
Correct. Mike Barrow. Hey, everybody, this is Mike Barrow. Hope everybody's having a great evening, and thanks so much to the board for hosting us tonight and getting this kicked off. You guys are definitely right on the ball as expected, hosting this forum so early in the process. So just a little bit about me. I moved to Miami Beach in 2010. I have a business background. I spent my career in business. I'm a single dad and raising my son, and moved here in 2010 and purchased my my home, and decided to take a little different approach, or a little different in this part of my life. I decided to focus on public service. Found out that the South of Fifth Neighborhood Association has an elected board, And I figured out a way to get myself. I got out and talked to all of my neighbors and introduced myself to everybody, and I got elected. In fact, I got elected with the most votes that anybody had ever received on that board at that time. A year later, I became president of that board and implemented a lot of resident-friendly and resident-oriented changes. We were very inclusive. We grew the list. We grew the email list just in a short time from under 1,000 to over 2,000 in a very short period of time. And we did town halls, a lot of things that we did. And when I was president of that neighborhood association, I would love to be able to do as a commissioner. So I'm hoping to continue. I'm asking for your support, and I'm hoping to continue my work in public service. I've been a public servant in this part of my life for the past 8 years. I've served on a couple of city boards and a couple of neighborhood association boards. And I'm asking for your support in my desire to serve on the commission. I'm encouraged by the things that we've been able to accomplish, and I would like the opportunity to kind of take it to the next level and have a vote and see what we can do. As far as MidBeach issues go, I participated in a couple of working groups on Collins Avenue with the board over the past few months, over the summer. There's an FDOT project. I'm sure most everybody on the board is aware there's an FDOT project. They're gonna redo it. And the idea of pedestrianization is something I'm very passionate about. The idea of bicycle lanes, the idea of calming traffic. We got something through after 7 years in South of Fifth this past year. We were able to.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I went way over. Yeah.
You'll have a great opportunity to provide us more feedback. Am I echoing? Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Welcome. Our next candidate for Group 3 is Melissa Beatty.
The Beetle.
Good evening. I'm Melissa Beatty. I'm candidate for commission in Group 3. I'm running because we have a fundamental problem right now in Miami Beach. Crime is flooding our streets. The waters are flooding our neighborhoods. We have corruption and ineptness in the flooding city hall. I'm a mother of 3 children. I'm the president of the Venetian Islands Homeowners Association. And for the last 20 years, I've seen the greatness of Miami Beach, but I've also seen its deterioration. What we need, what we deserve, are candidates who are running for the right reasons, not to enhance their own personal brand, and not because they are trying to get rich off of public office, and not because the platform that benefits their business. I'm running because I'm concerned with the current situation and the future of Miami Beach. And if elected, I pledge to not take a salary, and instead I'll donate the funds to the Police Athletic League. I'm going to fight for residents. I'm going to find some short, medium, long-term solutions to solve the crime epidemic. I'll ensure that the stormwater pump station program is restored and completed in a timely manner. I'll work with our Inspector General to ensure that he has all the tools to combat corruption in City Hall. And as for MidBeach, I don't agree with the other candidates who say that MidBeach issues are the same issues as the rest of Miami Beach. I think it's a unique area, has its unique circumstances. It's a dense area with a diverse population and has its own unique issues. Thank you to MidBeach Neighborhood Association for hosting the forum tonight. And I would like to thank all the engaged residents that are joining the Zoom call tonight.
Thank you so much, Melissa Beatty. Our next candidate for tonight is Greg Branch.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I have a long and unique history with this city as a tourist in the early aughts, a part-time resident since 2005 when I bought my first home here, largely, quite honestly, to keep up with the Joneses, as all of my wealthy clients were buying homes here. But I became a full-time resident since 2010. I've been a business owner here, a St. Patrick's and North Beach Elementary and Danny Berry dad. So again, I've had a rich and unique experience with this city, which is part of the reason that I'm running. When you go through my professional history or resume or whatever you look at, my website, I think you'll see a number of meaningful skill building experiences that I think could be useful for our community. I've been a part of building a few world-class businesses, from building Morgan Stanley's asset management infrastructure in Asia, first as a McKinsey consultant, and then when they brought me in-house and shipped me off to Japan, At 28, I was one of the youngest vice presidents in AllianceBernstein history. At 33, I was one of the youngest executive directors in UBS history. And at 35, I was one of the youngest managing directors in Canaccord Genuity's history. That, in fact, is what brought me here full-time in 2010 when they asked me to build the Southeast infrastructure from scratch. Little did I know I was laying the groundwork for having to leave the company, as that infrastructure is what actually made the bank attractive in part for a sale. But it did force my wife and I to decide how much did we love this city, because we had the choice of repatriating back to New York or staying. But we had fallen in love with this city and we stayed, and the rest is history. Now, don't get me wrong, all of my business decisions didn't turn out the way I wanted, particularly when I left my field of expertise to build hair salons for my wife. But I probably learned more from the things I wish I'd done differently than from the successes I'm proud of. They made me a better professional, a better business owner, and quite frankly, a better husband and dad. And I think they make me a better servant of our city. I've been on several boards of this city. I've done my own charity events. And so I think I have a rich history of service that most people are aware about. But I'm also one of the candidates who has supplied full-time jobs to the city. I've had the responsibility of caring for the livelihood of others, one of the few to have managed large P&Ls, to have exercised strategic long-term thinking, and sink or swim by those consequences, by those decisions. And so I'm right for MidBeach because I've lived here for, depending on how you define the borders, I've lived here for 7 years. And so I won't only recognize that the challenges are unique, I'm going to tell you how the challenges are unique. I moved to the Acoya in 2014. I now live in Portugal Towers. So I well understand the challenges, the unique challenges we face because I've lived them. On a micro level, I think the most pressing issue we face in MidBeach, north to south, is an acute structural neglect. While other neighborhoods decry this as well, our neglect probably combines all the elements of what the other neighborhoods are experiencing.
Thank
You want to talk? You want to talk about STRs? We have an STR issue combined with a glut of low-end hotel stock. We've been dealing with road and seawall construction for several years and the resulting bus routes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Greg. Thank you so much for that. And I want to hear. We want to hear more. It sounds like I'm echoing a bit until I connect to new audio. I'd like to welcome Stephen Cohen.
Echo.
Stephen Cohen.
Hi, how are you? My name is Stephen Cohen. I'm running in Group 3. First of all, I wanted to thank the MidBeach group for hosting this forum and allowing me to speak. A little bit about myself. I was born in Miami Beach and I was raised in South Florida. I have spent the last 20 years in Miami Beach, mostly in real estate, but the last 2 or 3 years, I've really been focusing on being a community activist, which means, making sure residents know about the city meetings, going to more city events, and overall just being a leader for the residents. I am running because I firmly believe that this city has a crime problem. Not only do we have a crime problem in the entertainment district, it is now seeping into the residential neighborhoods, including MidBeach. A concern for MidBeach is the lack of police presence in the boardwalk. There's no control over the boardwalk, and they're also looking for more lighting. For me, my second biggest issue, which is obviously our long-term issue, is the environment. We all know that climate change is upon us. It's time for us to listen to the experts, to be more focused, and to have better communication to the residents. And my last issue, what sets me apart from any candidate, is I think that it's time to have more accountability in City Hall. It's time for the city to be accountable to the residents and not to special interests. We need to focus on the concerns of the residents. And another thing that we need to do is have the employees of City Hall be more accountable. A big example would be the seawall debacle from 2016 that is still going on in 2021. The reason we have this debacle is because of a city engineer who chose to do work unpermitted, which has cost the residents of MidBeach 2 to 3 years of extra construction. Additionally, it has called taxpayers millions of dollars. We need accountability in City Hall. And you're asked a question I want to address on MidBeach. After knocking on 3,000 doors over the last 8 weeks, I want to tell you that there's 2 different concerns in MidBeach. If you're on Alton Road, you have a major concern for the traffic and for the speeding that's going on Alton Road. If you're on Collins Avenue, your concern is also traffic, but you also do have concerns about the buildings because we are dealing with many of the buildings that were built in the 70s around the same time as Champlain Towers. So we need to make sure that there's more accountability in the condo associations and a better job in the building department. Again, I really want to thank the MidBeach for having this forum and allowing me to speak. I look forward to more questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our final candidate for Group 3, Michael Gongora.
Thank you, Anna Marie. Good evening, friends and neighbors. I'm Michael Gongora. It's my honor to be your Group 3 commissioner for the past 4 years. I got into public service for one simple reason. I love the residents and I want to have and do what's best for the city. I have a record of always responding to residents and getting things done. I'm presently running in Group 3. I may continue forward or I may continue in another seat. I filed to run 2 months ago because of you. You all were concerned that there wasn't a candidate that could stand up for the residents and do what we've accomplished. As a resident of this area, I'm one of the co-incorporators and co-founders of MidBeach Neighborhood Association. I used to serve on the board. I now serve as the representative for my building. Citywide, we have a crime problem, but I've stood up and done something about it. I placed the crime issue on the neighborhood's agenda bi-monthly. I was instrumental in having our last police chief leave because I didn't think he could get the job done. When it comes to the environment, I created our sustainability committee and was the key point person on the city's stormwater master plan. I am resident friendly and I am proven. To that end, in MidBeach, I have been your go-to guy, champion, and warrior on every issue we have accomplished. I was your point person on changing the location of the stormwater pumps in the Indian Creek project. And yes, I was also the commissioner that called out the former engineer who caused the problem in 2016 when I wasn't a part of the commission. I was your champion when MBNA needed to be a part of the MidBeach recreational corridor paver design, and we got it redone. You call me when there's tree trimmings. You call me when there's sargassum, and I'm always there. We created this group because of our concern about traffic and the FDOT project, and it's been a pleasure to participate in the multimodal corridor project that we attended a meeting earlier this month where I was the only Group 3 candidate there. Whether it is as your commissioner or any other title or position, I will continue to fight and advocate for this neighborhood I believe in. I will continue to stand up for resident issues, and I will continue to be your voice at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael Gongora. So your Group 3 candidates are Michael Barano, Melissa Beatty, Greg Branch, Stephen Cohen, and Michael Gongora. So you have 5 candidates in Group 1, you have 5 candidates in Group 3, but on November 2nd, or if you vote early, you can only pick 1 from each. So let's talk a little bit more with them and see who do you want to choose and who do you feel would be your best representative. So this next portion of the meeting, we're going to go ahead and begin with Group 1 questions. So this is only for Group 1 candidates. Again, Fabian Basabe, Adrian Gonzalez, Raquel Pacheco, Kristen Rosen Gonzalez, and Blake Young. This time we're going to change the order and we're going to go from bottom up. And then the next question will go from middle out. Okay, ready? So the first question, actually, just before we get to the question, has anybody looked at our website, www.midbeach.net? There's Meet Your MB Candidates. So there's a link that has websites, has each of the candidates' websites, not only the candidates that are present today for these 2 groups, but also the other elections that are going on in our city. Please check out the website. Please get to know your candidates and please come out and vote. Okay, with that small jig, we're going to go to a video of Indian Creek. We are. Our co-host Alicia Casanova is going to share with us a video. And so please, we're going to give you a little bit of time to let and listen to the question, especially for those of you that are going first. It's a little tougher. And so here is the Indian Creek working group page, and we're going to select one video, just one video, Alicia. Could you click on one?
Historicals, let's see where we are. This is the recent one right here.
Okay, these are those beautiful Jersey barriers to block our view to our nature walk and our water. And this is why I live in MidBeach, to look at our Jersey barriers. But for the candidates, this is your question. So despite MBNA's engagement, feedback, and advocacy, Jersey barriers included, when we were told we couldn't and we couldn't and we couldn't, We proposed ways to try to cover them and try to make them look better. And I think our battle is not over, but we are very concerned. We are concerned with the extensive delays in construction on Indian Creek Drive, but more so, we are concerned with the way things are managed at the city. Why things, we understand the city seawall was, we would love to think that was a one-time situation, but unfortunately in MidBeach, we continuously see delays in construction and management. A simple median being ripped up in Collins Avenue can take 4 weeks with trash piled as high as 3 to 4 feet, dug into the dirt, just feet away from our waterway, ready to blow all the trash and plastic into our waterway. Just items, one thing after another, beach walk included. Somehow the city gets pulled into thinking that if you do the entire strip together, you're going to save money, you're going to save resources. These contractors are going to be able to be dedicated to your project. You're going to expedite the project. It's going to get done quicker. I've never seen that happen. And that story has been sold to MidBeach residents over and over again since 2017. You as the next commissioner, how will your management of projects be different? How will you expedite or assist in expediting Indian Creek Drive? And how will you manage a project differently? Blake Young?
Well, that's a lot.
Well, you're asking to be our commissioner.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Well, the one key thing is that I've traveled quite a bit, and I can tell you that this construction project is completely out of line with most construction projects in this country. The High-5 Freeway in Dallas, $260 million, took 3 years to build. So keep that in mind. It can be done. The key thing is management. And we come back to it is that I see a lot of people, especially with the city manager, with the engineer that was brought to task, pushing to get things done, but not operating under our laws or regulations. And that's just unacceptable because that actually delayed our process. So coming back to it is I'm one of those people that likes to see the project. I want to understand the difficulties. I would be out there consistently on a regular basis, meeting with the foreman, with the people running the projects. I want to know intricate details, but that's just me. That's the way I manage my building. I'm the president of the Regatta Condominium Association. There's not one thing that I do in this building I don't look at myself, because I can tell you right now that that's one of the best things that any commissioner can do is take real-time information, take a look at what's going on the ground, and then actually come up with some common sense, recommendations, because many of the residents come up with these same recommendations and they're like, why don't we incorporate them? Because the fact of the matter is that a lot of the commissioners and people leading this city aren't looking like the residents, or they aren't at the ground level. They aren't in the position to take a look at it. And you're correct. That construction site's filthy. And if I was there, I would make sure they pick that up on a regular basis. It's not hard to do. You talk with the foreman, you talk with the contractor dealing with it, and tell him he's going to be responsible for that, or we're actually going to send somebody in to clean up after him. But the neglecting, okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. That wonderful response. And I apologize. I did give you a few more seconds because I forgot to say that the responses are 1.5 minutes.
No, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I filled it up.
Yes. And just to clarify, our sanitation department is doing a pretty good job on this Indian Creek compared to other parts, and it has been filthy at moments. But what I was mentioning a moment ago is when they came and tore up all of the landscaping in our median and left another portion of Collins Avenue with 3 feet high of trash. And despite the numerous complaints and advocacy, it took many times. And the response from the city was, well, Anna Marie, we have a lot of projects, and basically we weren't a priority. It was disheartening to receive that response. So as commissioner,
Well, the contractors that do that work need to clean up after themselves. They do.
Thank you
That's the
so
way it
much.
operates.
Thank you. So Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez, if you are our next commissioner, how would you handle this? And also, and just if you want to reference also, you were a commissioner while some of this was being planned. If you want to address what would be different this time.
I think one of the biggest problems that we have is that most of our administrators who are working on this project don't actually live in the city of Miami Beach. So they're looking at everything from a commuter perspective instead of somebody who actually has to drive down Collins Avenue and drive down Indian Creek and live here in the city. I was very disappointed this last round when we hired a city manager that lives 30 miles away, in Coral Gables. And, I think that moving forward, we need to hire administrators, number one, and require them to live in the city, because that way they understand the urgency of the projects that we need to complete. Another thing that's wrong is our bidding process. I don't always think that we choose the best contractor when going out to bid. And I think that there are some changes that we could make to make our bidding process more transparent so that we get the right people, the best people to do the jobs, and not the same 2 or 3 contractors that are overextended, working in Miami Beach, inefficient, take forever and take forever to do the job. You know, third, I think that we should have a report and make these people accountable. I think David Martinez has way too many projects, and I think we need to add people to manage these capital improvements projects because we just can't get them done. So I think we need more people in charge of capital improvements, administrators that live in the city, and a more transparent bidding process overall. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Raquel Pacheco, what would you do as a first-time commissioner to ensure that we have a more speedy process in management?
Okay, well, for starters, I want to tell you this. My father was a construction worker my entire life. I've been on lots of construction sites, albeit in Connecticut, not Florida. So I would love to say, hey, Florida, right? But the reality is that this doesn't sound like an acceptable answer to me. I'm pretty familiar with the process, the construction process itself, and I know that part of that process involves cleaning up as you go along, not waiting until the end. Take that into account, the fact that we are a city by the sea, and now we're having all of this debris go into our water systems and potentially become hazardous if we have a hurricane or a tropical storm. It's just not an acceptable answer. So if I'm elected, what I can promise you is that I will make sure that not just having oversight over these development of these projects, but we're also compliant with OSHA regulations, and that we have people on site who are monitoring the progress and ensuring that at every step of the way, they are following through and making sure that they're not overlooking these things and just being negligent. I do believe that it's important to have people that work in the city, live in the city. But when it comes to development and construction, I'm just not sure how realistic that is. But I can assure you that I would not settle for that answer. It's just simply not a legitimate excuse.
Thank you so much, Raquel. Adrian Gonzalez, let me repeat the question. Despite MBNA's engagement, feedback, and advocacy, MBNA is concerned with extensive delays in the construction of Indian Creek Drive. What ideas would you have as a commissioner to be able, with the power, to potentially accelerate this the project, prevent delays, and prevent this type of catastrophe in projects in the future?
Well, to start off with, I think it's very important to micromanage every project that's happening. More importantly, one of the things we can do with these contractors, assuming that they are bidded properly, we could actually give them a reward by when they actually finish a project in a timely manner or their target, they'll get rewarded another bid. One of the biggest problems in the city is that the same contractor has 5 jobs. He's understaffed and he's skeleton everywhere, so he can't finish it. The debacle that's happening in Indian Creek from doing a construction without a permit, how the previous administrations allowed that to even get to that point to do a massive project that impacted Durham and impacted Seawall, impacted everything and the residents without a permit was beyond comprehension. That is not acceptable. But citywide, if you see, there's a lot of projects that happen that they start strong and then they go stale. Nothing happens. The same construction site, empty bulldozer, empty this. You need to make sure that more importantly, these contractors don't belong to some cousins, friends, former. It's a brand new company that comes in, has the capacity, has the record, and does it. You want a golden carrot? Finish your timeline. You get a bonus, plus you get the next job. None of this starting one project and moving on to the project. Start a project, finish the project, and then you go on to the next project. Because as you guys are experiencing in Collins, you have Indian Creek, and then you have another patch is putting Band-Aids on the bigger problem. And that is no solution. And more importantly, the residents, including yourselves, is the ones who are inconvenienced, and it's the quality of life issue right there. So to me, it's just a basic running a business, micromanaging and making sure that everybody's doing what's required of them and watching them like hawks.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Fabian?
So, big question. I guess I'd start off with first, who is responsible? Why are things not getting done correctly from the beginning? I mean, from what I understand, someone overlooked a permit here. Someone's not doing this right here. I was at a meeting the other day in MidBeach, where they were coming up with, two different options for plans addressing the drainage issues. One was a shorter term, kind of a patch job. The other one was a longer term. And we weren't really, I didn't see that the residents, I don't live in MidBeach, were provided with all the information that they needed to participate in the decision that would be relevant. I mean, everybody wants the bicycle paths and the great, traffic flow and all of this, but construction is complicated. And they weren't giving people the information they needed as far as whether those drainage systems, what the shelf life was on those. That question wasn't asked, and it was asked, and there was no answer. And before we get the right answers of how to begin properly with all the information we need, how can we possibly move forward? As far as the seawalls go, I mean, it's an eyesore. It's inconvenient. It's causing traffic. It's causing delays. It's costing time and money. The environmental impact alone is, detrimental to sea life. I just want to make sure I know who's in charge of doing things correctly. And if it's on the city end, I want to know that there's people with engineering and architectural experience. I want to know that there are deadlines that are met. I know there's heavy fines for people that don't. I don't want contractors coming in bidding for big city projects that don't have a good track record of finishing things. As far as saving money and doing things piece by piece or doing one long strip, I understand that's a selling point, but everyone who knows in construction that that's just a pitch just to get the bigger job. And at the end of the day, with the technology we have today, with all the resources we have to focus on doing things right, there is a way to make things happen. And we need to just make sure that people are asking the right questions and given the right information to start with, and heavily penalized if they don't.
Thank you, Fabian. And I apologize, I'm echoing.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you to the Group 1 candidates. And then before we go on to the Group 3 candidates, I want to recognize our elected officials. Honestly, on a personal level, I am extremely grateful to every single person who chooses this line of service and is willing to be a commissioner. I know for a long time in my life, I thought, who in the world would want this job? I mean, I really do admire you. I think that, it's a vocation in a way. I mean, I don't know that those of you that have served in the past, I see many of you here today, and I just and coming back and continuing to wanting to serve our community. And so Commissioner Minor and Commissioner Steinberg, who have joined us, Commissioner Aleman and Representative Grieco, and to all of our elected officials who are also coming back to serve or have served or are serving now. I just want to say thank you for taking interest and for joining us today. It really means a lot as a residents to see you all present and just this coming from this place of service. So thank you for being with us. In Group 3, our next question, we're going to move from Indian Creek because I like my blood to not boil and relax a little bit. But this other topic's also a little bit great, and I appreciate the few questions that you all have sent. Please continue to send them either privately or to everyone. I am copying them and putting them into a list, so please do add your questions to the chat. But here, our next for Group 3, the first question to this group of candidates is going to be around enforcement. And some of you mentioned this in your opening remarks, and so this would be the moment to elaborate. But the last fiscal year, the MidBeach community was defined by the city police department as 23rd to 63rd from Alton Road down east. And so just a quick reminder, MBNA is only 24th to 63rd, Indian Creek and Collins Avenue. So we are condos and hotels. We don't have any single family homes in our area, okay? But so the police department defines MidBeach all the way from Alton and to 63rd, which is our greater, what we consider here is like the greater MidBeach community, right? Everyone all the way up to Alton. Now guess how many police officers? Anybody put it in the chat. How many police officers do we have designated to MidBeach? Anybody, give a number. 9, 4, it's actually 6. So right between Stephen Cohen and Jay, we had 6. So the question to Group 3 is, a total of 6 police officers were assigned to this expansive MidBeach community, which is approximately 2 to 3 times larger than just our east little corridor here in MBNA. Now, during this coming budget season, it looks like the city is considering and has received approval, or is about to go through the approval process on increasing the number of law enforcement personnel. You as commissioner, so this is Mike B, Melissa Beatty, Greg Branch, Stephen Cohen, Michael Gongora. You as our next commissioner, what is your take on enforcement and how would you determine the appropriate number of resources for MidBeach? Meaning what will come into your decision-making process for you personally that will help you determine if the appropriate amount of resources or allocation for MidBeach is occurring. Let's begin with Michael Gongora. You have 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. You're preaching to the choir because I think you all know that I always stand up for MidBeach getting more money. I was very vocal in the Geo Bond project and making sure that our neighborhood got more funding, and I will continue to do so with regard to security and policing. One of the frustrations about what's happening in the entertainment district is our police resources get diverted there and not to the residential neighborhoods like ours. You are correct that we are hiring 12 new police officers in the upcoming fiscal year. I want to make sure with the police chief that an adequate amount of that is being dedicated to MidBeach. I've been concerned about little pockets of crimes popping up. There was the liquor store just south of 41st Street that was becoming problematic. When you called me, I placed that on the agenda and immediately brought police attention to that. I think you know, I mentioned in my opening, I have a bi-monthly item at the Neighborhoods Committee on crime. And I also referred the inadequate amount of policing going on in our particular area and how I want to ensure that we get more. I will meet with MidBeach Neighborhood Association, the police chief, and the captain assigned to our neighborhood. We'll review the crime statistics and we'll make sure that we have adequate protection. Not just on Collins Avenue, but I also want to see more police along the beach walk. I've become concerned that there really is not a lot of protection there. And while this isn't a police safety issue, I also have become concerned we didn't have an adequate share of lifeguard stands. So I wanted to let you know, since I couldn't say it in my opening, that due to my advocacy, our neighborhood is getting 2 new lifeguard stands on 55th and 62nd Street as well in the upcoming fiscal year. That's how you do it. You meet with the administration, you meet with the neighborhood, you push, you put things on the agenda, and you get them done like we've done time and time again together.
Thank you, Commissioner Gongora. And I apologize, I was distracted for a second. So you did have a few extra seconds and I'll make sure everybody else does too.
Liliana, put yourself on mute. We love China, but we don't want to hear her barking.
And thank you, Ileana, for joining us. And thank you, Commissioner Gongora. The next person is Stephen Cohen.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't mute myself. I like to always use statistics whenever I, look at something and make a decision. So I'm going to give you guys a little statistics. Over the last 10 years, the budget of Miami Beach has gone up 30%. And since that time, the amount of police officers has actually probably gone down or stayed the same at 417. The city is adding 17 additional police officers, not 12, but those 17 additional police officers will take 9 to 12 months to be on the streets. Because you need to have anticipatory intelligence, you need to know what's going to happen in the future and to really be able to see and to know what we need. Another thing that I wanted to express is that at a city meeting about a month ago, one of the heads of the Fraternal Order of Police actually asked the city for more police officers. So hopefully the city, and one thing I would do is I would go straight to the chief of police and say, how many police officers do you need to properly police all of Miami Beach, not only the entertainment district, but also MidBeach and South Beach. Another thing I want to tell you is 95%, this is the number, 95% of the city employees do not live in the city. I firmly believe that it's time that more employees live in the city. The city has implemented recently a new stipend for police and fire to try to make sure that, to try to convince more and more to move into the city. But we really need to take a look at the data as the statistics and listen to the experts. If the chief of police, maybe it's time to look into bringing a security experts outside of Miami Beach and listen to what he has to say. And so we can really get a better feel of what's needed in the city. And then lastly, I want everyone to understand the budget has gone up 30%. The amount of police officers has gone down. There seems to be some type of disconnect and we really need to address that. One more point I wanted to make because it was brought up was the Geo Bond. The Geo Bond, there was $0 in any matching funds. in the state, from the state or federal government. At the same time that our city did the GO bond voting, the city of Houston received billions of dollars of matching funds from the state and federal government. We received zero.
Thank you.
This goes back to what I said.
Thank you, Stephen.
Accountability.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you have any other ideas and you know, the other topics that are coming up, remember you'll have that time to close out, and we want to make sure everybody does have that time. So we're going to go to Greg Brandt. Would you like for me to repeat the question, or would you like to begin?
No. I think I've got it. Thank you, though. I just want to say anecdotally first, that video that you showed for the last question, all of us MidBeachers know that was Portugal Tower's driveway that was in that picture. That could have been filmed from my balcony. So I experienced that as intimately as any one of us. I want to put Stephen's, his statistic in context. Yes, the city budget is up 30% in 10 years. That means it's been increasing by about 2.7% per year, which is just ahead of core inflation each year. I don't want us to be alarmist about numbers and taking them out of context. When we look at the salaries of the police officers, those have also been growing. And so roughly our expenditures on police has been growing in line with the way the budget's been growing. Now, that's not to defray from the point that we might need more police. Like Stephen, I think part of that is a statistical decision, and part of that is a qualitative decision. And I'd like for our police to partner with our organizations because they can't see everything. And it's organizations like ours, it's organizations and community leaders letting them know where there's a bevy of hot activity that should be put into the equation so that we can have the most efficacious use of our police force. Now, when we add police power, we have to be smart about how we do this, because in the short term, while that need is acute and we certainly need more bodies, I hope that other long-term things that we do over time is going to abate that need. So let's borrow police power instead of adding a pension load and healthcare benefits, and let's stop the street party so that these short-term rentals in our neighborhood and these low-end hotel stock doesn't have the type of clientele that's going to participate to violence and crime in our neighborhoods. I think that's a long-term answer as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Greg Brandt. Melissa Beatty.
Thank you. So I've been an HOA president of the 350 homes here. And so I've experienced what you guys are experiencing and empathize of. I've had similar issues with our residents here and frustrations and wanting to see more police presence. Unlike the previous candidates who have offered no true solution, and some have listed their accomplishments, we need a public safety platform that's actually addressing MidBeach and all the issues across the city. And we need to establish a dedicated neighborhood policing units with the percentage of the city budget each year that's dedicated to the law enforcement resources in residential neighborhoods. The license plate readers, they need to be at all points of ingress and egress on Miami Beach, and we need to place them there 24/7. We also need a position for a public safety director. So if I come in office, I will establish that position of public safety director. We need to increase the numbers of license plate readers that are consistent at traffic points, no open alcohol containers and public right-of-ways. There's a long list that needs to be addressing public safety issues. The problem is not the solution we're missing, is we don't have the right people in office right now that are pushing for action and resolving these. We have an environment which we need to change. We need to get the right city hall people to be changing the environment. We've got crime to address that's getting worse. And that's what I want to make the priority.
Thank you so much, Melissa Beatty. And Mike B.
Thank you for this question. You know, I love this question. I mean, it's the most important issue on everybody's mind right now, and rightfully so. I had a very strong public safety platform back in 2019, and that public safety platform called for more police officers and more code enforcement officers. I began calling for that in 19 after spending time on Ocean Drive at spring break. and the mayhem and chaos that existed well before the pandemic. And then I wrote an op-ed in January that was published in Miami Herald, once again calling. So I'm really happy that this is now a part of the conversation. Statistically, we want to talk about statistics. We have 8 million overnight visitors a year. We have 400 cops. That's not enough. It's just not enough. Fort Lauderdale has 800 police officers. 800. Think about that number compared to 400 in Fort Lauderdale compared to Miami Beach. So we have to solve the structural problems. We need fundamental change on Ocean Drive. We have to solve the structural problems that exist there. You guys are like my neighborhood south of 5th. We begged for officers over and over and over for years on end, and they would temporarily be assigned only to be pulled away, sucked away into Ocean Drive. So how will you know? You ask Anna Marie, you ask, how will you know? You'll know when you have a consistent, visible police presence. That's how you'll know. When you have a community policing model, when the cops are assigned to the neighborhood and are walking the beat or riding bikes, and they're part of your neighborhood and you know who they are and you are safe and you feel safe. And if I'm your commissioner, I'm going to work on this every single day and I will not rest. My platform has been consistent on this issue.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. And thank you to our Group 3 Commission candidates, Michael Gongora, Stephen Cohen, Greg Branch, Melissa Beatty, and Michael B. for your responses to enforcement here at MidBeach. We have a couple more questions we've prepared for each of these groups, but we have 23 minutes left in today's meeting. And so I want to take I'm going to try to accelerate it a little bit because I'm to get through these next two questions, but please keep your answers very pointed to the response. We're going to keep it to about a minute so that we still have time to go over some of the questions and then do closing remarks for everybody. Sound like a plan? Any comments, questions? Great. So this is for Group 1, Fabian, Adrian, Raquel, Kristen, and Blake. And please forgive my casualness in referring to you by your first names. But if you become commissioner, I want your cell phone, I want your house number, I'm just kidding. I won't be stalking you, but we do hope that we'll all get to know each other, but even better. So the Beach Walk is our newest and one of our most prized assets in our community. How would you propose, the direct question is, how would you propose resolving the conflict that we have seen many of our members be sent to the hospital, members not only being concerned and being frightened, but taking videos of conflicts between the bicyclists, the pedestrians, the electric vehicles along the beach walk. If you were a commissioner, how would you address that? We're going to begin with Raquel Pacheco.
Okay, well, that's a great question, Anne Marie. We, now that the beach walk is open and extended throughout from here to 87th Street, we're running into a lot of different issues, right? So the first thing I would do is I would have a dedicated police force to monitor that area. I would also look for to implement better signage. And I know that we have talked about this in the past as it relates to actually marking the buildings and the names and numbers so we can have faster response times in times of crisis or emergency. And generally just, enforce our existing laws, which prohibit certain vehicles from having access to that area to make sure that our pedestrians are kept safe. I would also look for ways to allow for access with I'm sorry, I got trampled up here for a minute. I would just make sure that we would make sure that it's like safe and well lit and the signage is proper and that we have again a dedicated police force or park rangers assigned to the area to enforce the laws and respond to crisis situations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I know it's always tough to go first, so I really
sorry, I got tripped up for a second. Thank you.
No problem. So Adrian Gonzalez, in 1 minute, please tell us how you would deal with this issue.
Well, the bottom line is it's enforcement, and unfortunately, we don't have enough budget according to get more officers. And I've heard that they need at least another 150 officers to at least do a decent job to keep us all safe. Bottom line is better signage stating and reminding all the residents that, hey, you can't go Mach 5 down the Bay Walk. You can't go down the ocean walk, going full throttle on your rollerblades. You have to pay attention to pedestrians, almost maybe even putting some speed bumps to slow them down, because unfortunately, when you're in that beautiful zone of trees and oceans and all that, you get lost and you keep going and you don't pay attention. And also too, one of the things that are missing majorly is the street addresses of what block is where. So even if you're walking on the beach, you have to call for help. What street am I on? Let me see, which building can I possibly figure out? They never put the street numbers on there, which is another major inconvenience. And safety, which how do you identify where to send help if you can't even identify where you are to begin with? Here's my GPS coordinates. But enforcement, the rules, they're already there, and that's what we have to do.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Kristen?
So people love riding their bicycles on the beach walk. And more than anything else, they're excited about the mobility between South Beach and North Beach. And I'm very excited about that. But I don't know why we didn't put in a protected bike lane. Not just here, we need them on Collins Avenue. We need protected bike lanes across the city. And frankly, I think maybe we should ban some of these electric these electric devices that people are using on our beach walk. Now, it's very difficult to enforce this. You would have to have signage at every single entrance to the beach. So it's very difficult to enforce. But if you at least had one protected area, bike lane for electric vehicles and bicycles, I think you would see an immediate change. Obviously, we don't have enough law enforcement. We don't have enough cameras. We don't have the resources to do anything, but we could include, and probably add on, and it would take several years, a protected bike lane. And I think you'd see an immediate change in the amount of accidents and problems we have.
Thank you so much, Kristen. And Blake Young?
Yes, this is a good subject for me. As everybody knows, I don't have a car. I drive a bike 100% of the time. It's actually an e-bike. And I don't take the ocean walk. It's just not a great place to commute. The big thing I see on the beach walk is that speed limits. That's the key. It doesn't matter if you're on a 10 speed by natural power and you're doing 20 miles an hour, if you're on an electric bike doing 20 miles an hour, the impact's still going to be the same to the pedestrian. So I think the key thing is maybe set some speed limits for the pathway. And or we could put some dividing or some directional so everybody knows which side of the road they need to be on when they're commuting. So I think that's the key thing. And obviously enforcement, we're trying to go around with signs and all this crazy stuff. When it comes down to enforcement, if we want to stop people from speeding on the beach walk and acting unsafely, we're going to need policemen there to actually mitigate that problem. And so there's really no instigation for that, but I would go to the speed limit.
Thank you so much. And Fabian? Fabian Basabe, were you able to reconnect? I know that you're.
I don't know why my phone's having. I should just give this phone to my kid and let him deal with it. Right?
It's the storms. I'm also, my audio's off. I think it's just the weather. So, well.
All right. I was reading the rest of the question. I understand someone saying people on the bikes don't know how fast they're going, and I'm not such a fan of the electric bikes. I think to address that issue, we could preserve some of the old beach walk for posterity and create a cement beach walk to it. Would that work?
Anything that you as commissioner, what you feel would be the ideal solution to avoid these conflicts between pedestrians, cyclists, and electric?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think, well, if we can eliminate the electric bikes on the bike lanes for sure. I think that creating a larger stretch with creating that cement beach walk parallel to it, I think that gives extra room. I think for the most part, people are definitely more.
We're not hearing you. You lost your audio.
Fabian, we've lost you audio. At your closing remarks, we'll ensure that we add.
I'm so sorry. I can't understand what's going on with this damn thing.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Okay. In your closing remarks, we can add some time if you'd like, and then you can incorporate.
Yeah, I'll say that. But anyway, yeah, bottom line, as far as that goes, I mean,
I'll look into it more for some other things as commissioner. But if I like the idea of creating a larger beach walk cemented parallel to what we have already, preserving that. I'd like to address the aesthetic and keep and preserve that as much as possible, while making it practical at the same time.
Thank you so much for your feedback. And for those of you that mentioned signs, it's actually has gone to commission. It looks like there's an ordinance, and MBNA is also working on that. The Beach Walk Working Group is working to provide a draft to assist all of our fellow condominiums and hotels in meeting the requirements that the city has recently set forth. So
there's a message posted regarding that. We're going to be sending you all information so you can place your orders directly. And that will be really nice because it's a logo for all MBNA members to have their sign posted on their rear gates.
Thank you so much, Alicia. So for our final question for today for group 3. And so group 1 candidates, again, it's Fabian Basabe, Adrian Gonzalez, Raquel Pacheco, Kristen Rosen Gonzalez, Blake Young. Now our group 3 group is Mike B, Melissa Beatty, Greg Branch, Stephen Cohen, and Michael Gongora. So those 5 candidates, you can only choose one. I know everybody seems to be amazing. You can only choose one. In group 3, for this last question, in 2017, FDOT had planned a project along Collins Avenue from 47th to 58th Street that proposed reducing 10 crosswalks to 5 in an effort to increase safety. Currently, they're planning a RRR project, which is a simple resurfacing project, and you would think that nothing else, but really there's more to it, and we could take advantage of these opportunities to really enhance our community between 25th to 41st Street along Collins Avenue. It has been an uphill battle in advocating for our needs, and just being able to ensure that the projects happen. The projects that are designed without the community's voice in MidBeach, we've set to precedents that they will not move forward if the community's say is taken into account. And so moving forward, we want this one, they own our road, they own our sidewalks, and we look at GEO bond funding and some of the work, some of the money that's going to other communities, it doesn't come to us. And the reason why is because the city doesn't have as much of a management power and control over our streets and sidewalks. Actually, if it's outside of the MOU with FDOT, they have no control over those two. And so you as a commissioner, what will you do to ensure that the very important projects to come, because there's 2, between 25th and 41st, and then the second one, 41st to 63rd, will align with the community's vision? They will include protected bike lanes going northbound, just as we will have a protected bike lane going southbound on Indian Creek Drive. They will address the speeding along Collins Avenue through design. They will address the noise. They will address the pedestrian crossings. They will address loading zones. A comprehensive loading zone throughout Miami Beach we are way beyond the time to have one. How are you going to limit the size of those trucks? How will we have loading zones that make sense for the areas that need it and for the areas that don't? How are we going to take advantage of those spaces? What will you do as our commissioner to really help with this relationship and to ensure that the owner of our roads are developing roads for a first-class city and for a city that is constructing something aligned with the community's vision and the community's voice? Greg Branch.
Okay, can you hear me? So I think that this question goes to the very philosophy of the type of commissioner I want to be. You can't have accountability without transparency. Without one, you do not have the other. And you can have neither if you don't have open lines of communication with our residents. And so I think that the conversation, that the testament I will make to our residents is we need to decide, we need to agree on what I can control and what I can't control. And when I say I mean the commission at large. And on those things that we can control, I will give you my own report card. This is what I said I was going to do. Here is where I have failed you, but I'm still working on it. Here is where I need more time. Here's what we have accomplished. I think to your earlier question, if we had that on Indian Creek, where the foreman had accountability to his targets, where the construction work on the ground had accountability to the foreman, and the foreman had accountability to the commissioner, and a commissioner had accountability to us, he was in print saying this will be done by this time. Now we know where the failures are. And so without transparency, you cannot have accountability. And so I will do more work on these things, but that is the answer. I will answer to where I failed and succeeded.
Thank you so much. Mike. Melissa?
Thanks, Anne Marie. That's it sounds like a beautiful project, and it's a complicated question. But knowing the current administration, it's not going to be a project that's going to finish in any reasonable amount of time. Running the HOA here, we've had some CIP project that's been going on for over 7 years. We have unfinished roads right now that are being delayed and canceled. Any layering of asphalt based on county not being able to commit to the repair of our bridges and causeways. We are in a neighborhood that pays a lot of property taxes, and we are living with roads that have been unfinished for 7 years. We put pressure on the commission, on the city to fast forward this project, and because the developers are not held accountable, we are in the same mess, and now more delays as we have the weight restrictions.
Melissa, you have about 10 to 15 seconds left. As our commissioner, what would you do to make a difference in that process?
We need to start holding people accountable. There has to be some accountability to make sure these projects get pushed in a timely manner. That's the problem. That's exactly why we're running, is nothing is being held accountable in a timely manner. We need new people. We need new energy. It's not because we're lacking the resources at the city level. We just need a new attitude, more of a private sector mentality that gets things done.
Thank you so much for that response. Appreciate your very arrow through all the way through. Thank you so much. Stephen Cohen.
I really want to thank you for this question, because one thing that I've noticed in this city, and is why I created a Facebook group that has now grown to 6,300 people, is the city has a communication problem, especially with the residents. So I'm going to give you a fine example, an exact example of what I would do. I would create an office called a messaging and notification. This office would reach out to every single condo association. And through those condo associations, we would give timelines for projects. We would tell them weekly what is going to happen for the project, and they would know when the project's going to start and when the project is going to end. Why? Because the condo associations are the ones who have the ability to reach the residents. So through this department of messaging and notification, we were able to reach all the residents through sending it out through different, to the condo associations and also to the neighborhood associations. This office you'll find in many major cities, including Manhattan. Yes?
Steve, I'm going to interrupt just because you have also about 15 seconds left in your time. Can you tell me how that strategy is different than what we currently have in the city through our communications department?
Because the communications department in this city doesn't reach the residents, and I can tell you why. Because in my Facebook group with 6,300 residents, they don't know what's going on, and I have the city commissioners that are using my communications, and it's something that I created to reach the residents, because I knew 3 years ago there was a void. The residents in the city are not even aware of the elections half the time, and I know that because only 20% of them are voting in our elections. So one thing I say, we need more communication to the residents in this city. And I really think that this city can do that through a direct department of messaging and notification, which is, I disagree with you, because I know for a fact it's not reaching them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. I appreciate it. And the next person is Mike B.
Thank you. And I want everybody to know that Anna Marie wasn't kidding about requiring the mobile number and the contact information on speed dial. So
get ready.
Exactly. So this project is at a critical stage right now. And the answer to your question, I've already started trying to help and tried to advocate on behalf of this project. This project cannot move forward. When that first design, when those proposed designs come out, that's the line in the sand right there. It has to be handled at that moment. And the street needs to be built for the next 20 years. And for the residents' vision and for the neighborhood vision for this area. It can't be built. FDOT tries to move the traffic through. That's their mandate. Move the traffic through right now. I mean, as fast as you can. And we don't want that. That's not what we want in our community. I don't want it in my neighborhood, and I know you don't want it in your neighborhood. So the other thing that we needed to do is to hold our state reps accountable as far as being involved in this process to advocate on behalf of us. They're in Tallahassee, for God's sake. That's where FDOT's located. Let's get them involved in this process. But when those first designs come out, that's when we have to draw a line in the sand and make sure those designs are acceptable.
Thank you so much, Mike. Michael Gongora?
Yes, well, I think some people didn't understand that this is an FDOT project and not a City of Miami Beach project. I knew this project was coming. That's why in 2017, Alicia Casanova and I revived MidBeach Neighborhood Association. So we would have the advocacy group that you have so successfully moved forward with, Anna Marie and Board of Directors, so that we would have a voice. The state would know that we are residents and that we have a position. As your commissioner, when FDOT doesn't respond, I put it on the commission agenda and I make them come out to our meetings and give us an explanation. Yes, we have to be able to lobby our state representative and our state senator and everybody else that we have working for the city in Tallahassee to ensure that our voices are heard at the state. But this is not about being shy, sitting back, complaining. This is about rolling up your sleeves and getting to work. And that's what I have done and will continue to do. I will stand with you. I will fight with you against FDOT. I will place your issue on the commission agenda. I will reach out to our elected officials in Tallahassee and everywhere else and make sure the project gets done correctly.
Thank you so much, Michael Gongora. And so I want to thank all of our candidates today. We do have a couple of questions that weren't addressed, and we're going to go ahead and email those to everyone, including overcrowding. Budget was mentioned, but I'm going to go ahead and submit the specific budget question. And there were some additional questions to sargassum, beach water quality, no swim, which were addressed by some of the candidates, but I think our members would like to see a written response to those. And so we'll go ahead and send those, and then we'll post your responses for all of our members. We only have a few minutes left, and I'd love to be able to adjourn on time. And I apologize, I will go over, and there are 46 participants left in this meeting because I'd like to give everyone an opportunity to have some closing remarks. We're going to begin with Fabian Basabe from Group 1 Commission candidates. We'll go first. Fabian.
Unmute yourself.
I don't know why that keeps happening. Okay, better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. For me, this has become kind of a personal mission. I just can't understand with the resources that the city has and the amount of money generated in this town and between taxes and the tourism industry. You would assume that we have some real professionals handling things, and you would assume that you want a community full of happy residents, right? Where everyone can coexist and there's a balance and there's a harmony. And this is a neighborhood. As big as we are on the map, we're still a small town. And it's gotten to the point where I just don't recognize it like that anymore. I've decided to do this, which is a complete different direction in the life I lead. It's time away from my life, time away from my family. I've got a 12-year-old son who I think I've raised very well, with strict discipline, with open communication, with kind of great leadership and keeping things on point with him. And I think that's kind of what we're missing. We're missing a bit of that transparency. We're missing a little bit of people holding the current policymakers accountable for what they've promised. And at the same time, the city's been asking, and it's been asking a lot of the community, and I think the community as a whole does a lot. I mean, there are a lot of people ready out there providing feedback, getting involved, super engaged. And we don't have enough people in office that are doing the right thing.
Thank you.
All I can tell you about me is I'm investing my own money in this. I'm uncorruptible. I've got a great integrity, and I'm really passionate about this. And I really hope they have the opportunity to serve my city. I think everyone should.
Thank you.
And yeah, sure. I ran out of time. Sure. Thank you for your time.
Thank
nice
you.
seeing you all on Zoom.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you join us again. And Adrian Gonzalez.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time to get to know all the candidates, which is such an important and vital part of a process, is to know all your candidates and what they stand for. I'm basically, I'll put it simple, I'm part of the past, I'm part of the future, and I'm part of the present, and not necessarily in that order. But again, I'm a father of 2 amazing boys that are in the public school system in North Beach Elementary. I have a small business here that's now 4 decades in the beach. I am the fiber of what this is all about. I am not a politician. I've never been in any political office. I've sat in a lot of boards for the city. I've involved myself and my family in everything related to the city. I've worked with every commissioner and mayor on the dais and every department from the city on down. I, at the end of the day, think that we need a person like myself that brings different things, a business perspective, a parent perspective, a resident perspective, and at the end of the day, bridge the gap of lack of communication between everybody to understand that we're all in this together. And at the end of the day, I'm asking for an opportunity to prove that I am the guy and the person that will lead the city forward. Thank you again so much for your time, Adrian Gonzalez, Group 1, and hopefully we'll be all talking relatively soon.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Raquel.
Thank you so much, Anne Marie, and thank you to all for being here this evening and giving me this opportunity to speak with you. I ask that you please consider my record of service. I've been in service since the age of 19 when I started my service with the Connecticut Army National Guard. I've remained in service throughout that period. As it relates to our city, I've been very active, and the proof is in the pudding. During my tenure with Miami Beach United, we successfully secured 2 resident at-large seats on the planning board and on the design review board. We also worked extensively with the city on the residents' right to know, which is a tool for residents to use to get to be on top of projects and get information about issues that are relevant to your specific neighborhoods. Throughout the pandemic, I was out there on the streets working food drives every single week consistently. And what I can promise you is that if I'm elected, I will govern with transparency and absolute accountability. I will ensure that projects that residents have voted on through the GO bond, will be carried to fruition. I will ensure that your input is sought after and implemented at every stage of the decision-making process. And above all, I will maintain an open door policy. So please reach out anytime. I will put my contact information in the chat, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions directly. You can call me anytime, literally. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Raquel. Kristen Rose, and just want to make sure everybody knows, we are completely kidding about us requiring your phone number or that we will contact you all the time. We will not. I don't do that all the time. So I just want to further, we were kidding.
We have direct links to all the commissioners on our website on the main page, and then there's a separate page. So you can easily access all the information and their bios and everything that's on their own website. So that's easily accessible through midbeach.net.
Thank you so much, Alicia, for that reminder to please go to midbeach.net for that information. Kristen Rosen Gonzalez, your closing remarks for Group 1 Commission candidate.
For the past 2 years that I haven't been in public office, I had a choice. I could have just gone back to private life, or I could have continued to advocate for everyone. And as you guys know, and you've seen me on several Zoom meetings when we were fighting to reduce the size of the tower on 41st Street, I have been advocating for you. I have stopped the city or helped stop the city or use my platform for good. Selling the Byron Carlisle Theater, we've stopped that. We just deferred the sale of our public library. We stopped the parking department from being privatized so that they could terrorize residents with tickets and towing. I've always been here. I'm very invested in the Collins corridor. Cafe Bernie is really a gathering place, a community meeting place, and we are invested in making Collins Avenue a better place. We want mobility. If Collins Avenue doesn't work, we don't get customers at Cafe Bernie. And you can guarantee that you guys will have somebody that will listen to you and that will vote for you and that will put your items on the agenda, as I have always done in the past. So when you guys vote for me, I will talk to you and answer your calls and vote for you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen Rosen Gonzalez. Blake Young, our last candidate for Group 1.
Okay, guys. Am I unmuted by chance? Oh, yes, I'm here. Just wanted to let you guys know, I didn't go into that in my introduction. I'm the president of the Regatta Condominium Association, which is on your corridor. So I'm one of you people. I live these problems. I listen to these Harley Davidsons and these race cars, these people driving up and down this road, and it irks me just like it irks you. I've talked to all you people up and down this corridor, and every one of you have told me how bad the noise is and how bad the racing is and how nobody's doing anything about it. Well, if you want something done about it, you need to elect one of you people to get this done. I'm one of them. I'm an HOA president, past HOA president on West Avenue, and I even have a license to manage communities, which is more than anybody else in Group 1. So we'll let you know that I will be here. I'm out here diving on glass, knocking on doors. I've given up my career to do this for the last 3 years. I don't say that because I deserve the job. I just want you to know the level of commitment. And you'll have the same commitment if elected. And so what I will let you know is I'm just a normal person that wants things cleaner, safer, and more professional on the beach. And once we have that, I think we all will be happy. And that's basically been the thrust of what I've heard from your group from every time I've attended. So I just appreciate your consideration, letting me speak tonight. And I appreciate your consideration for Group 1, Blake Young running for commissioner.
Thank you so much, Blake Young. So those are your Group 1 candidates. We're going to go on to Group 3 candidates. Closing remarks. Michael Gongora.
Thank you all for the opportunity of serving you for these past 4 years as your Group 3 commissioner. It has been an honor to earn your trust each and every day. It has been an unusual couple of years with the pandemic. Many of you know I also suffered some health setbacks last year, but I'm doing better and I'm feeling strong and ready to keep fighting for you. We've accomplished so much over the last 4 years, whether you talk about the beach walk, whether you talk about the moving of the pump station on Indian Creek, whether you talk about our being able to redesign holiday lighting, cleaning up Sargassum, you name it, we've done it together. And I look forward to moving forward with you in this next journey, whether it's as your commissioner or in some other position. You can count on me, your longtime friend, and your longtime neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael Gongora. Stephen Cohen.
First off, I really want to thank the MidBeach board for having this forum. And you guys, just so you know, you guys do an amazing job with your social media and your website. It's one of the most informative of all the neighborhood associations. I just want to reiterate that I'm running because I really think it's time to bring change to City Hall. And I promise to the residents that I will focus solely on the residents and not on special interests. I'm running generally for the residents. I'm completely a community activist. I spent the last 3 years of my life for this, and I just hope that the residents get more involved. I encourage all residents to go out and vote, tell everyone to get out and vote, and hopefully we can, come together as a city, we can work together, and we can take the city to, where we all want it to be, a safe city, and where residents are happy, where families are safe, and where tourists are welcome here too. I really, really want to thank the board for hosting this. It's really important for the community to hear from all the candidates. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stephen Cohen. Greg Branch.
All right. So let me start by saying that I agree with some of the other candidates. One of the most existential issues that our community is facing is public safety. I have released a 9-point plan on this that I released back in June and republished recently. Please get in touch with me if you want to see that. But I do believe that for us in MidBeach, the existential crisis is partly that overlay, but partly that we are facing acute structural neglect. And I think that we need to unite in making sure that we right that. But I want to talk to you as a fellow voter for a second. Because if I'm going to vote in those other groups, the qualities that I'm looking for is the intellectual rigor to understand and learn about the issues, not just the issues of today, but the issues that we can't see around the corner a year from now. The political courage to do and say what needs to be said, and the moral compass, and the pristine motivations to be doing this for the right reason. Now, as a voter, my job is to get to know the candidates. Not the disinformation or the disparagement that you're going to find that some candidates are disseminating, but actually spend some time with the candidate, because that character issue is important. We will get what we buy. We will get what we paid for. And if what we want is more trust and reliability, we need to purchase it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Greg Branch. Melissa Beatty.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Well, running for office was not part of my plans, but the current situation that we have in Miami Beach has me really concerned. We have all it takes to be the best city to live in, but we need to prioritize the residents. We must address the crime, the flooding, and we got to rid City Hall of the inept politicians that are stifling the progress of our city. I'm committing to action, and I will put pressure and keep the pressure on until there's true progress that's carried through. Again, thank you to Middle Beach Neighborhood Association for hosting this forum tonight. Thank you to the residents who joined the Zoom call. I look forward to serving our residents. I'd like to also say thank you to Commissioner Gongora for participating tonight, although he was deemed not eligible to run because he's violating voters approved term limits. Have a good night and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Melissa Beatty. Mike B.
Okay. Hi, everybody, once again, and thank you so much for the opportunity to earn your support tonight and listen a little bit to my desire to continue my career or my work as in public service in Miami Beach. If you want more information about me, please reach out. I'm known as I mean, I answer all emails or answer all phone calls myself. I wrote all the collateral materials myself. I think you'll find that a little bit different and a little bit refreshing. No fancy consultant. All me on the door cards that I use. The website is more like a blog, and it's all written by me. So any issue that you're interested in is likely addressed there. But I will be there for you. I want to be your commissioner. I want to be the person that you think of when you need help navigating this incredibly challenging government that we have at times. When you need help with your day-to-day issues and your day-to-day problems with government, I want to be that person. I'll be there for you, and I would appreciate your support, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you so much, Mike B. I want to thank everyone again for joining and for being committed to being an informed voter or an informed leader. We really can't do this without you, and we just appreciate everyone's service here today. There's comments and questions in the chat, and from the former Commissioner Aleman would also like to thank all the candidates for putting yourselves out there in the public eye and for the sacrifices you are prepared to make to serve your city. And I think that comes from a place of experience and wisdom and good spirit. So thank you, Commissioner Aleman, for that. With that said, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for participating.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Good night.
joining. Very important.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good
Talk
night.
to everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
Night. I have to leave the meeting. Excellent, Anne-Marie. Bye.